It's the Smart Driving Cars podcast. We're going to call this one Starting Over, and you'll see why. Thank you for tuning in once again. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alan.
Good morning, Fred. I guess it's a good morning. It was a good morning. It should be a good morning, except the Steelers are not playing in the Super Bowl. But besides that,
I was going to say,
yes,
what Super Bowl? Is there a Super Bowl?
there's no. I don't care. I'm not watching the darn thing. Or I'll imagine that it's the Steelers out there. But go ahead.
On top in the latest newsletter, Alan, a couple of stories that will lead us into your just published new book, The Real Case for Driverless Mobility, co-authored by Michael Sena. First, almost breaking news here. A Waymo autonomous vehicle was set on fire last night in San Francisco by a group of 10 to 15 people. They'd surrounded it on Jackson Street between Stockton and Grant. We're going to show some video for those of you who are watching in the background here that came from an NBC News report. This happened about 9:25 p.m. No one inside the vehicle. But Alan, this is something that you've been talking about for a long time now, that they're simply in the wrong place.
Yeah, I mean, this not to use this to sell books, but this is in some sense why Michael and I wrote the book that we wrote. It's it's astonishing. It is astonishing that this much money has been spent to create something, and somehow in that creation, we're almost there. We're almost there, but it's we a step has been missed. I don't know if it's a problem with startups in Silicon Valley or whatever, or who knows what, or or I guess maybe the success, if there has been success in Uber, Lyft, in the way they entered a particular market, in a disruptive way that they entered the market, and in some sense, thinking back on that, may have been the only way that they could have been successful, um, to the point that they've been successful so far. They were a disruptive technology who really changed things for a certain market. And what market was that? I think if we look back, it was the market of people who needed a ride and had enough money to pay for the ride and were probably tech savvy enough, although it didn't require much tech savviness, but tech savviness that, matched their capabilities. And the way they did it was by completely taking out the sketchiness associated with the concept of that ride. They somehow figured out that for the market that they were addressing, that the biggest disruption opportunity was to provide a reasonable level of service without sketchiness, without the burden of oh my goodness, are they coming to give me a ride? Oh my goodness, are they going to show up? All the apprehension and all the worry associated with trying to get a ride from somebody. The Uber Lyft app, gorgeous, beautiful, right there. interacting with it, seeing where the thing that's going to give me a ride is. And when it says it's going to be here in X minutes, having the people, the customers looking at it saying, oh, yeah, it's coming. And in fact, showing X number of stars. Oh, yeah, I don't have to worry about this person. Oh, yeah, the vehicle is reasonable. Oh, yeah, it's going to not be, you know, some broken down thing. Oh, yeah, it's going to be clean. And oh, by the way, nobody's going to touch the money. Whoa. If you look at the disruption in the level of service of a ride to the people that technology was put forth to, A plus, absolute A plus. That's why it's successful. Now, of course, they wanted to do it driverlessly, and I think they had the objective of if they could do it driverlessly, then in fact, my goodness, they could make the cost absolutely whatever. And then, geez, the whole world, not only those that could afford it, but I mean, what happens? I, unfortunately, I have to use myself as the example. Not that I think that I'm representative of anybody besides myself. I'm trying to get to Newark Airport. I can give myself a ride. I don't want to pay for the darn parking, whatever. And why not? Why not be taken? So I need a ride. What is my biggest apprehension on that ride? Reliability of that service. Is it going to show up? To me. And then I look at this app. And of course, for me, since I pioneered turn-by-turn navigation, I know all about routing. I know all about routes ahead. I see a little car moving towards me. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Almost charge me whatever the heck you want. Oh, and you're going to take my bag and put it in the back seat too, in the trunk too, and say, hi, good morning, and be pleasant to me. Or if I don't want to talk to you, leave me alone. I use them all the time. No brainer. Hey, plus I get the university to pay for it because I'm in whatever, who knows, whatever. Get somebody who really wants me is paying my way. I mean, but I even do it for myself. It's so darn good. The folks developing these automated systems, what do they seem to have put out there to date? Look at my LiDAR. LiDAR does not impress me. I don't think impresses most Uber Lyft riders, except for maybe the selfie that they can take for however long. And if that's their market, then there's already Uber Lyft out there. What is their value add? What is their reason for being there? What is their reason to have a red carpet treatment available for them to be able to provide their service? They don't even put my bag in the trunk. And if they say, hey, good morning and whatever, it's, some chat GPT, who knows what, don't bother me. It's not even a human, probably. Has no opportunity to bond with me. Really, I don't believe. They haven't passed the Turing test with the chat GPT. Sorry. I don't want to talk to them. I might want to talk to a driver. That is an intelligent human being. So when looked at from my perspective, whatever that is, if I'm a representative of any kind of market, I can take them or leave them. And then you match them up and you say to yourself, well, you're going to be as fast as you're going to be. What are you going to be as responsive? What not much Schumpeter like this disruption there. Ain't going to move me from what I normally do, except for maybe one selfie. Send it to Elizabeth, look at me. And what have they done going into San Francisco? Ooh, I can drive down the curviest road in the world. Boy, boy, am I impressed. Boy, does that make me want to use you, even even if somebody else is paying the tab. What, yes, my wife Elizabeth, she won't. We have some skiers at Park City from Phoenix. They won't bother. And I guess that, what happened last night is some people in Chinatown say, what are these things doing here? What are they adding to the community? And apparently they must think that they're not adding, well, net wise, anything greater than zero. They're an intrusion, I guess. So they decide to have some fun. I mean, how tough must have that been? They stand in front of the vehicle, it stops. I mean, come on. It's not a fair fight. Really, they bothered themselves, they lowered themselves to even, torch the darn thing. I mean, that's you might as well, torch. I mean, take the thing that is most useless thing. I mean, what must be the mentality there? And the 300 billion that's been spent to create this vehicle by not, of course, it's not Alphabet that spent 300, but it's, I guess we go to McKinsey. McKinsey gives us a number that's something like that. Who knows whether or not the number's right? Call it 3 billion. We know that's been spent. That's been spent by GM. Whatever that number is. To get to this, they missed something. They missed finding a customer for this.
Which is the point of the new book.
Which is the point of the new book. The point of the new book is not the LiDAR. The point of the new book is if I can program a vehicle to respond to when people need a ride, that system can tell that vehicle, which is just responding to code, to go there and give them a ride. And what kind of a ride? Well, it's got to be safe, of course. But does it have to be purely? Nothing is pure anything. So let's not talk about pure, but it has to at least be perceived to be, hey, yeah, I want to get in. Is an Uber ride pure? No, not if I watch Waymo commercials. They'll tell me about some sketchy guy looking back in the back seat to see whether or not my wife and I are kissing back there. I shudder. I don't consider that unsafe. So, yes, safe, but at least to give me the ride. And what's a ride? I want to go from someplace to someplace at a certain time. When I want to go. That's what demand responsive is, not when the schedule is, not if it's at night and, there's no service. And, maybe I want to be reasonable in when I want to go. But my goodness, these things, the amazing thing about these things is if you actually put out a system to work out there in the off peak, these things are out there just waiting, as we say, like little puppy dogs. Pet me, use me. I'm not doing anything. Call me. I'm ready for you. Off peak, 9:30 at night. They should be there. Boom. Take you to, at least where it's been designed that within some operation, it can't go everywhere. It can't travel down stream beds. It might not even be able to mount Pikes Peak or the Great Wall. But my goodness, it probably can take me to at least some of the places nearby that I kind of want to go to, a lot of times, just to make my life each time a little bit better. Not to be the big killer. Oh my goodness, it's going to take me through the Northwest Passage so I can experience who knows what. They somehow missed that. They missed that. We tried to help them, Fred, when Cruise first went into San Francisco and said they were only going to operate at night at first. And everybody said, oh my goodness, it must be because their LiDAR is not big enough. They can't operate during the day. Whew. No. What they should have said was, my goodness, that's when Mooney is asleep in bed at home, not providing service, not being demand responsive and giving you a ride. We'll be out there giving you a ride. Nobody else is out there. If you can't give yourself a ride by yourself, we'll be there for you. I don't think that's the way they said it. Now, last thing anybody should do is ask me how to, how to show empathy and kindness. Not not kindness and things, not my strong suits. But my goodness, that's a real value proposition who, for who knows what reason, somebody might need a ride. And you don't have to think about, kind of where they are, you don't have to plan. You can just be demand responsive. San Francisco is only 7 miles by 7 miles. If it's someplace you need to go to between that, max trip length is 10 miles. At night, you should be able to do that in, I don't know, average 30 miles, that maybe not, I don't know, whatever. Boom, we can get you there. We can be there, even if we're, not positioned well. Boom. Why? Because we have all these vehicles available to us because we wanted to be able to serve the peak efficiently. They're all available to us, waiting. They didn't sell it that way. They said, oh, I don't know what they sold it to. We want to take you to the airport, which they're trying to get. What? How many people in San Francisco want to go to the airport that live there? 1%? Less? So you're going after the 1%? Of course you're going after the 1%ers. Shame on you. They already have a gazillion ways to get there. Why not focus on some folks for which your ride makes the difference? So that when somebody gets and says, hey, we're going to torch this, oh, no, you don't. This thing's valuable to me. Oh, no, you don't. How dare you? How entitled are you? How many ways do you have to get around that you don't need this to get around? People in San Francisco should be outraged. Take a system that's supposed to help people to get to places and torch it. Outraged. And hopefully, because they're holding hearings and whatever, the police will go out and arrest people for torching. How are they progressing with that one? And I don't think it was, I don't even want to characterize who did it. And if those folks there don't want Waymo in their neighborhood, just like the guy, Waymo knew this was coming. They were testing. We talked about it in one podcast. They were testing once on a cul-de-sac to make sure their car could go up there, turn around safely, and come out. They were doing testing in a cul-de-sac. People live there, called the cops on them. Whoa. Talk about, a leading indicator of what's to come. And as we know, with respect to looking into the future, one always wants to have leading indicators. Whoa. And we pointed it out to them at that time. But, they didn't read the book. And so this is what they get.
Meanwhile, Alan, the California DMV is investigating an incident last Tuesday where a Waymo car collided with a cyclist. The rider did not have life-threatening injuries, thank goodness. Waymo has said its vehicle was at a stop at an intersection as a truck was driving in the opposite direction, and their vehicle moved into the intersection, colliding with the cyclist who was apparently very close behind the truck. And I suppose that could happen to any kind of driver, but of course, being a Waymo vehicle.
No, and I think with respect to this one, four-way stop. Okay. And there's a procedure that I think everybody agrees on. There might even be laws in California that mandate it, for all I know, as to who goes when. And again, Waymo did it all right. I think, they programmed their vehicle to behave properly. And from everything that I've seen on this, kudos to Waymo. They've seemed like they gave all the information out. They learned. I'm sure they knew it before the October 2nd GM Cruise incident, but they know not to cover it up. They put the information out there. They're sharing it. As I write in the e-letter, I hope they make it all that information available to everybody, all the video, their simulation results on this thing. And I don't think the issue is the recognition of a person on a bicycle. I mean, what do you want to do? Recognition of a bicycle with and without a person? To me, I think what is a situation here is a basic, maybe implicit assumption, or whatever comes out of all the deep learning training, that basically flat, don't have things dangling out the back, aren't pulling a something out the back. And this thing had something right on the back of it. And a Waymo vehicle should not collide with anything dangling out the back, whether it has a person on. And so whatever the video is of that should be available so everybody else can make sure they train their algorithm and make sure that, in fact, don't go implicitly assuming that the back of a truck is flat. There may be something dangling out there, and don't collide with it. And of course, absolutely if it's a person. So there's a lot of valuable information that can be shared, and they should put it out there. In some sense, also maybe in defiance of any antitrust issues, or in defiance of it. Because as we've been stating here, until we're blue in the face, things having to do with safety of these things should be shared throughout the community, not kept as intellectual property and mechanisms to compete. And yes, that is somewhat antitrust-ish. And yes, it is somewhat collusion-ish. Pause. This isn't the way we should be behaving with safety, and you know it. So at least do that. And I think, and basically learn from this. Okay? Because, another thing is, it's just not in the realm of things that anybody would expect. And then if you look at the number of driven cyclists' deaths from collisions, let alone, the whole distribution. I'll call it little. It's not so little. It got a couple scratches associated with human-driven car cyclist issues. These happen not all the time. And now having this information from this, unfortunately, was not a near miss, but it was seems like about as docile of a collision as one could have. Everyone should learn from it and have the opportunity to learn from it. And it seems like kudos to Waymo on this, that they're making the information out there available, and they should use this incident as a mechanism by which to absolutely lead, or that this happens with everybody every time. Not only when in the situations when there are crashes, but also in the situations in which there are near misses. And just make this information available so that the safety of everybody can improve. Everybody will be better off, not just the one that happened to trip over it.
It's something you've been advocating for a long time. The safety
we're
data
blue in
needs
the
to be
face.
shared.
We're blue in the face saying it. And plus it's in the book. Read the book.
Moving along, Apple's new Vision Pro headsets arrived this month. $3,500, see-through display, essentially a computer on your head that can do lots of great things. But some people have tried driving Teslas on autopilot by wearing them, apparently looking for clicks, publishing videos. The US DOT, according to the New York Times, is telling people don't do that. Like they should have to say that.
Look, it's almost, we've been saying for also how long that whatever number, 90% of the crashes involving vehicles driven by humans involve human misbehavior. I don't know. I don't think I've seen anybody else call it misbehavior. I may be the only guy in the world. I hope not. I certainly wouldn't want to claim that as fame. But it is. It's misbehavior. And 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 how do we deal with this misbehavior? I mean, it's it's in some sense the beauty about being human is that we're not all out in lockstep being just, perfect little children, I guess. I certainly have not been a perfect little child. It's cost me at times, and I was really stupid at other times. But I think it's part of what it is to be human. And yes, we should have people standing over, maybe with a ruler, waiting to whack you, as in some movies or something, if you misbehave. I mean, do you really have to be told to not put on some who knows what God? I mean, you've been stupid enough to buy it for 35 plus $100. I mean, how much more? I guess you're stupid enough to wear it in your Tesla and think that somehow, Tesla and Apple have come together and have created this great, kumbaya here in which, I mean, who knows?
Well,
It,
I sort of doubt that that's the case, but and I wouldn't knock the device itself. I mean, certainly Apple has the right to sell that to people who want it. It is a computer. It's
it
some
is
kind of new
sure.
spatial
Yeah,
computing,
sure.
and
Let's put and maybe you shouldn't even wear any of these. You shouldn't be a glass hole.
well, I'm sure
Google
there are going to be people
Glassware.
watching the Super Bowl today with the Vision Pro who are really going to enjoy their experience of having the field surrounding them. But
Really? Are they?
um,
Is
I,
that is that supposed to happen? Not going to be me. Okay,
it's not
not
going to
going to
be
be
you.
me. Or
But the
or
thing
the
is,
Ste-
I think
will it superimpose the Steelers out there
maybe you
instead of
could
the
do that.
Chiefs?
You
I
could
mean, look,
click on the
Apple,
team of your
if
choice.
you really want to, do something, do that. Then I might watch the darn thing.
Now,
Okay.
one might argue that Tesla having a camera watching the driver should know that somebody has this device on, but then again, they would have to have this coded to be able to distinguish this headset from some fancy sunglasses or goggles that people might want to wear while they're driving, which would be legitimate.
I'm
So
sure they can do that, Fred.
I'm sure they
Fred,
can, but
they can do that, Fred. Fred, this is what we point out. They can do that.
and maybe they will.
The problem with asking Tesla to do that, I mean, think of it. You have a company in which you sold a product to a valued customer, and now you, as that company, in this pride and joy customer that you have, are now going to tell them that they're idiots. Okay? Isn't going to happen.
Well, they do for
Isn't
now.
going.
They will suspend, for instance, the full self-driving and autopilot from drivers who are misusing it, misbehaving, as you would say.
Yes. But how have they gotten to that? They got to that by cutting a deal with NHTSA, who NHTSA then said, I want you to do that. You have to do an over the air updating. They cut a deal. I don't think, I think they cut a deal to do that. And I would agree with you that Tesla should cut a deal with NHTSA. It is so easy for us to improve our software in our cars to make them safer. if you help us in dealing with our customers, you tell us, hey, your customers, to be safer, need to have this, this, and this. And then you make us do it. You, NHTSA, who's responsible for safety, tell us, recall, 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 change it. And we'll go in there and do it. Because then we can go to our customers and really say, look, they made us do it. We didn't call you an idiot. They did. We didn't say you were misbehaving. They did. That's beautiful. What does it cost Tesla to do that? Zero, essentially. And they've taken the high road and said, we still value our customers. And all the 98%, 99%, 99.99, who knows what percent of their customers who don't misbehave won't even know it. Because this thing never comes down and says, hey, you're an idiot for wearing this thing. We're pull over and you can't use it again. And this is your second time that we've had to do it. And now you need a note from your mother. No, it's NHTSA that made them do that. What's NHTSA should make them do that.
And as
Oh
you
my
pointed out,
goodness,
Alan,
it's beautiful. Excuse me, I think
right.
that's beautiful. It's a great cooperative arrangement. And if Tesla really looked at this, guess who's able to do this at zero cost? Tesla. What does GM Cruise have to do that? A similar thing. If somebody misuses because they whatever, and somebody's driving around in a Cadillac with a whatever, and their Super Cruise, right? What do they have to do to change the software to tell them, hey, have that thing pull over and say, get a note from your mother before you can use this again? They have to get that person to bring the vehicle into a dealer to do that. What's the cost? My goodness. About the only company that can do this now is Tesla.
I was going to say, Alan, it would be nice if
Over this.
if they took it to the next level, as we've talked about before, and given drivers at least the option to say, I don't want this vehicle to crash. Please prevent every crash if possible, and turn that on and keep people safer.
Yeah, well, they may or may not give them that option directly, but also in terms of just this miss thing. Again, the problem is that for Tesla to do it to its customers, it has to make a value judgment on that customer that is not a kind of value judgment that Tesla would like to make on its customers, or any company would like to make on its customers. Every company thinks its customers are beautiful. They don't want to sit there and spank their customers. They don't want to sit there and preach to them good behavior. They want to assume, my goodness, these are worthwhile people for us to be in business serving. But if the regulatory agency thinks that they're misbehaving, then it's the job of the regulatory agency to call them on the misbehavior. And Tesla, again, should be just happy that they do, because again, back in the back of their minds, they're saying, well, maybe some of these 0.08% of them, misbehave. And this it will let them see the Lord. I don't know, throwing it out there. I'm glad. Anyway, it's food for thought on this thing, and it would be I don't know, to me, a really nice way for people to behave, and then everybody would be safer. Everybody, one whatever. Because if somebody's wearing the goggles, guess who they're going to hit? Me.
Right. Moving on, Alan. You also have a link to a presentation you gave a couple of days ago titled "Is Move Style Mobility for Rural Areas Disruptive? The Tuscarora Reservation Opportunity." Tell us a bit about this. And people with the newsletter, they can actually download and take a look at this.
I guess in Wednesday, for my Wednesday class last week, I decided to pivot a little bit because I'd sort of gone in there and you know, after writing the book, I said, yeah, this, of course, I believe that a lot of people need rides and in certainly moderately dense areas and if not more highly dense areas, really looked at at rural areas, sort of felt that it existed out there. Certainly, if as I drive to come down here at Mays Landing from Princeton, we drive through the Pine Barrens. There's some very rural areas here in New Jersey and around Pemberton. There are a number of trailer parks along US 206 there. And every time I drive by them, I wonder, to what extent um, mobility is an issue in these trailer parks. My perception is, I may have the wrong perception, but my perception is that some of these trailer parks are, are probably the most affordable housing available, um, maybe anywhere in New Jersey. So if you're really looking for affordable housing, you might live there, even though they're not. I don't know if they are, organized affordable housing units, but the affordability. And then when one to the number of people there, what the mobility opportunities are out of these trailer parks. And of course, you got to have a car, otherwise, you can't get a quart of milk. Can't walking to someplace, sure, but it's going to take you a substantial part of the day. And while some people may have cars, can drive themselves, again, with respect to the book, I think a lot of people need rides, but I haven't had the opportunity to spend the time to really investigate it and to really nail that one down. But then the USDOT has a has, I guess, what, a memorandum of financial opportunity or finance or whatever, MOFO. They want to spend, I guess, $25 million on AV research in rural areas, of which 15 million is to go to look at movement of people, and 10 million is to go to movement of goods. And so, in talking to some others about potentially and getting involved and looking at the opportunity for AVs in rural areas, I just decided to use our software system to actually look at one and see to what extent our move style total addressable market analysis system and simulation would reveal if we went in there and basically created an operational design domain in an area that was rural, and for various reasons, ended up north of Buffalo, looking at the Seneca Nation, and and said, "Well, my goodness, I'm wondering what the heck our analysis system would say about this." Basically, drew one up again, thanks to Bryce Rasmussen, my very good junior student who still needs a summer internship for this coming summer. So if any of the listeners have a really good summer internship opportunity, you couldn't get a better kid to come work for you than or intern for you this summer than Bryce. My goodness, call me. You should be so lucky. But Bryce put this together so that it you know, I just sat there, and I guess Monday night or something like that, I said, "Hey, let me put out an operational design domain out here, throw 25 vehicles in there, and let's see what it would do." And ran the simulation and came out. And I said, "Whoa." I mean, looked like it really could give rides relatively productively in such a rural area. The productivity measures of, 25 vehicles serving over 1,000-person trips a day. That's 40 person trips per vehicle. And that's not even, sitting there trying to optimize the empty vehicle repositioning and doing any sort of promotional type thing that somehow you might have a little bit of advanced information. Forget about that. Just basically out of the box. Wow. Really? 40 person trips per vehicle per day? That's, 12,500 per year per vehicle. Whoa. And then you start putting some advanced financial analysis on it and say, "Hey, what's the break even cost of doing this kind of thing?" Oh my goodness, you see that, for $5 a ride, you could put this out there and give those, 1,000 person trips a day, really high quality trips, very little wait. I'm a little bit of ride sharing during peaks. Even found some places and showed them in the slides where there is some ride sharing and whatever. Phew. And probably, at the cost of $5 a ride, have plenty to buy the vehicles, pay for the vehicles, pay for their operation, pay for their maintenance, pay for the computer system to run this, pay for the operations staff to maintain and probably have money left over to return a profit. Who? You mean these systems could actually work in such low density areas as Lewistown, New York, and east to the Seneca Nation, and provide mobility, which they may not need it. They may have all the mobility they need, and they may not need this. And so, next piece of this thing is to figure out what did they really need, as opposed to what does my simulation system suggest that they need. We tried to do a good job of building it and building, representation of the 100 million households in the United States and the 340 million people that live here, and all the places that they might want to go to, and schools, and go to school, and and putting it all together to generate what we think a typical 1.1 billion da 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 da. And we didn't really focus on the needs of rural America. We sort of took a nominal need of nominal America and applied it to everybody to do that. So we're probably not, certainly not perfect. Hopefully we're close. But now what's really needed is go in there and and talk to the people, bring some, sociologists or people that understand people. I'm an engineer. I mean, I'm the wrong person to put in there. I have no empathy. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people and sort of sharpen the pencil on this thing. But my goodness, the potential opportunity that these things could have to provide enhanced mobility that's substantially better than what people, at least some people in rural areas, tend to have, and do it at a cost of under $5 a ride. Are you kidding me? Paratransit service by New Jersey Transit, I think, is over $60 a ride. And when do you have to schedule that? How many days in advance, and what kind of time windows? And da 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 that goes on with that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm kidding myself. Maybe the simulation models aren't good. Maybe they're not giving the right answer. Whatever, but I think it's, as opposed to going to someplace, providing mobility to people that already have 15 different ways to get from here to there, and thinking that you're going to do it just a little bit better than they currently can do it for themselves. Um, I don't know. Read the book. That's all I can say.
And take a look at the newsletter, and you can get a glimpse of the simulation, which is terrific. And Bryce
Yeah,
has done a great job.
you can watch the animation and so on, and we're trying to make it available, um, uh, you know, uh, to everyone. I mean, our objective is we are an educational institution. Our objective is to make our stuff available in case anybody wants to use it. So, but it does require some substantial compute resources to do and so on. So we're still making our way through all that, and could use a grant, but nobody wants to give us a grant. So, but that's fine. Whatever. We'll plodge on.
Finally, Alan, you've included a very well-written piece from our friend Ken Pyle at viodi.com, VIODI, about his experience with a rental Ford Mach-E in Texas. It wasn't good. While the vehicle was fine, lots of space, get up and go, as you'd expect, the charging network left a lot to be desired, and Ken does a really great job telling this story.
Yeah, you should all enjoy it, and you should enjoy. It'll give you some joy after the bleak news at the top of this issue. Um, yeah, things are things things still need work, and I'd like to throw on that. I would Dealers Association annual meeting in Vegas and went to their display thing, and was talking to a Texan about whether or not a Ford Lightning, and not to dump on Ford Lightning, but this guy, I could tell, he was an internal. Maybe everybody in Texas is an internal combustion engine guy. He was definitely an internal combustion engine guy, and he starts telling me about his friend who got a Lightning and decided to, do what you do with pick you tow stuff, you haul stuff and you tow stuff, and he was towing his trailer and got 80 miles of range out of his Lightning, and apparently, I don't know if it's true or whatever. I guess Lightnings, because if they only get 80 miles of range, how big is this? How much range do you need to not have range anxiety in Texas? I mean, you need to pull a trailer full of gasoline with you or something. I don't know, whatever. So having Ken have challenges with EVs in Texas seems like not surprising. Maybe Texas is making sure that everybody has range anxiety with EVs. I don't know. But isn't that Tesla's headquarters? I mean, would they go from a frying pan into the fire? They left headquarters. And what they do, go into the fire of Texas where it's even harder? I don't know, whatever.
Why they call it the panhandle, right?
Uh, anyway, uh, this is tough. If it wasn't tough, we'd already have it. This is proving to be tough. And I think at this point, we need to take a little step backwards and be a little bit more humble about this thing and see, how do we make this thing so that it really does improve a lot of people's lives. It won't improve everybody's life. Nothing does. Okay. But at least finds a market that this is actually, improving people's lives. And we can take it to market such that it ends up being consumed. I don't know if a Starbucks latte improves people's lives or not. But somehow Starbucks at the particular start ended up putting lattes out there that must be improving people's lives because they're buying them. And they're buying them at what? I've never bought one. We'll never buy one. But, my wife, my stepdaughter, whatever, my daughters buy them all the time. And then what? They're at least $5, aren't they? Whatever their price is. And somehow they found a way. They found customers. They make very happy to reach in their pocket and give them an amount of money. And I think there remains to be this opportunity with this thing that can give rides. Rides are not easy to give. And if you have to have a person doing it, they're very expensive. And the person doing it, as hard as they might try, ends up being a real challenge to manage. It's like herding cats. It's really tough. You've got to be really good to do that. And the opportunity to have a computer do that, which doesn't have this challenge of this herding cats challenge, or the cost of herding the cats, of having the cats do it, to me seems like such an enormous opportunity to be disruptive someplace. Not every place, someplace. And desperately looking for the places where that is disruptive. And let's start there and prove that it is. How do you prove it? People go in and buy the latte. That's proven every day with Starbucks. Hamburger. These things give rides. Somehow, that most fundamental simplistic concept has been lost into billions of dollars that have been flipped from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the headline, to the who knows what, to the DDD. Somehow that's been lost. Maybe it was so obvious, and read the book.
And it's called The Real Case for Driverless Mobility, and it will cost you less than a month's worth of Starbucks lattes. You can find it on Amazon and elsewhere. You can find us at smartdrivingcar.com, also on Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Google, Amazon, wherever you turn to for podcasts. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin along with Alain Kornhauser. Thanks for listening or watching. Please continue to stay safe.
Yeah, and on all that cost business that you bring up, yes, it's not a paperback, it's not a Sunday supplement, it's not a hey, this is past time. This is a reference text. There's serious information here. And there's such serious information here that I suggest that those folks that have been trying to do this for real have somehow missed it. Yeah, it is as a reference text. It is, it's $100. That's what reference texts are. If it's not worth your $100, don't buy it. Continue to spend 300 billion going nowhere. Seriously. So yeah, I wrote to Elsevier and said, hey, whatever if you had the price down, under $20 or something, you probably sell 10x of these things. And they kindly wrote back and said they know the publishing business and I don't, which thank you. I do recognize I know about the publishing business. It seems to never stop me from commenting. So sorry, folks, but I agree with them. This isn't entertainment. This is serious business, and this is a serious business. And some people have been making some serious mistakes. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are today. And so, if this helps avoids, then we should charge, I don't know, not $100, we should charge 100,000 for each. Anyway, have a great day. I'm sure enjoy the Super Bowl commercials. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to watch.